Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Popple. And before I introduce my guest real quick, I am launching the live really fast. So that way I can introduce him to everybody. Hold on 1 second. Cool. All right, I got that underway. So today we have on an amazing guest, Hayden Albert. He is president of CQB. He is a U.S. Navy veteran, real estate investor, developer, and entrepreneur. He is, after serving 9 years in the Navy, he transitioned to real estate, completed over 110 deals, founder of Carolina Quality Buyers, Icon Window and Door, Icon Cabinetry, and Southern Acres Land and Homes. And Hayden takes hands-on, mission-driven approach to every project. And before I have him on the show, I also ran across a reel of an amazing deal that he basically was purchased a house with acreage, subdivided 6 lots off of that. Is going to clear over $1 million on just that deal. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Hayden Albert.
Hey Sam, how's it going?
Good, man. I'm excited to talk today. This dude, like I said, I mean that deal you have going on in South Carolina,
Yeah.
pretty amazing. But man, before we get into all that, why don't you kind of get into a little bit of your background, where your journey began, and maybe bring us up to your time in the Navy to just coming on out.
Yeah, I love it. So that's a fun deal where we're about 3/4 of the way sold off on that one. I'll tell you all the details on that later. But essentially I started the military. I was going to go to school, and then we were just right in that like little zone where you're middle class, but you can't, you're not smart enough to get a full ride, but you're not dumb enough or like poor enough to, get a scholarship.
I totally remember that time period. Yeah. I was a pretty good student, but my dad was a doctor, so it was really
yeah. So I was like right in that where it's like we don't make enough to pay for it, but we're too poor to get a grant. So I was like, just one day I came home and I was like, I'm just gonna join the military. So didn't want to get shot at, so I picked the Navy or the Air Force, and I landed with the Navy, and so it was a good one. I was a nuclear machinist mate, so I ran and operated like the nuclear reactors on submarines and aircraft carriers. So that was a pretty hard and grueling school process to get through. And then I went and served out in Seattle, Washington for about 4 years, and went on deployment there, went over to the Middle East, during some wartime. So that was a really good time. It was fun, but it was extremely grueling. A lot of people don't know is the aircraft carriers were designed and built when we were fighting Russia, and like the Soviet Union and all that stuff. And that's more of like a northern sea type, cold, service. The ships were designed to be serving when the ocean was colder. And so when we're fighting in the Middle East, and the ships just overheat, they're not made for that. And so
I never thought about that.
There's no air conditioning. So we're fighting we're in the Middle East, in the Arabian Gulf, and it was no joke. I mean, it was 130 degrees. And so we jokingly say, it was like, oh, it was 130 degrees in the shade, because that's how hot the engine room was where we were operating. So
wow.
That was always the funny story I always told about how hot it was and how crazy. They actually flew on scientists while we were on deployment to study the human body under those conditions, because it was so grueling. So that was pretty fun. So.
Yeah, you sign up, come government property, and then the government science projects.
Yeah, I know, right? And so I was in charge of operating the nuclear reactor, and then I eventually was head of the training department on a nuclear aircraft carrier, and then I came back to Charleston, South Carolina, and trained up the next generation of sailors to go out and serve and operate the reactor. So that was kind of my really short version of what I did in the 9-year time I was there.
Right. Now is South Carolina home?
It is, yeah. And so
that's where you grew up and everything?
Yeah. No, I grew up in North Carolina, but the school is in Charleston, South Carolina. And so met my wife in Charleston, went on deployment, came back to Charleston, and then we just kind of put down roots here. Her family was here, and it's a beautiful city to kind of, be in anyway. So it was
right. No, I definitely always hear great things about all of South Carolina. So I know the few times I visited, it's, beautiful area of the country.
Yeah.
So how did that time in the military, I'm sure, some of that is tough, grueling 130-degree temps.
Yeah.
How did that shape your mindset as you shifted out of the Navy into becoming an investor entrepreneur?
I think the biggest thing, obviously, is like a little bit of mental toughness is always kind of the general military, learning thing is, hey, you went through some shitty times. So everything was kind of about mental toughness. But for my specific job, it was, I learned how to learn. If I had to, we had essentially memorized manuals that were like this thick, and we're responsible for all the information in there. And so I just learned how to learn, and I applied that to real estate as I transitioned out, and it turned out phenomenal. And I was, like I said, I was part of the training department on my ship, and so I loved teaching people. I learned how people absorbed information, and so now I am applying that of, every time I go and speak or talk at an event, I try to see how people learn so that I can, take what I learned as I was making mistakes in this business and apply it and kind of teach them some of the tips and tricks that I think they should learn,
Nadia, I love that. So 9 years in the military is no small commitment. What was your first move when you got out? And then, what was
yeah. I knew I could never work for somebody. I was kind of unemployable, like I know a lot of entrepreneurs say that, like, oh, I'm unhireable. You can't hire me. And so that's kind of how it was for me. Is I writing a a resume rather, writing a resume and actually going and getting a job and applying, and it made me sick to my stomach. I was like, I cannot do this. And so during my time in active duty, I was listening to Bigger Pockets. I know a lot of listeners probably, that was the main educational platform.
That was definitely a gateway podcast into real estate for myself. Great one.
And so I listened probably
especially the Brandon Turner days.
Yes. Yep. I kind of stopped listeing once it, but it was, on episode like 1 through 600, I kind of listened pretty religiously. So, right. So I did it backwards. That's what they teach is kind of the BRRRR strategy is, hey, just buy a rental and then eventually you can retire on the cash flow, which is a complete lie. Like it's a strategy that works over time eventually. But if you want to be full-time real estate, everybody knows that has rentals, you're not living off of that. Right. So I went backwards. I bought a small duplex, or it was a big duplex, but it was a small multifamily. So I bought one of those, BRRRR'd it, bought another single family residence, and then I ran out of money, and so I had to find a way to find deals and just figure it out. And so my second deal I bought from a wholesaler. And so I saw how much the wholesaler made, and I was like, I have to be the spear on that. I have to be the wholesaler. And so
funny you say that. My partner Will, and I'm hoping he's able to jump on. He and I met each other at a wholesaling mastermind where both of us just wanted to learn how to get the deal better ourselves. Neither of us wanted to actually wholesale to other people. We just wanted to figure out how we take out that middleman.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, man, that guy made for my deal, it was $20,000. I spent $93,000 on this little ship box. And
what hurts is like a deal that like where they make like 25 and you only made like 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Like, and you flipped it. You did like all the work, took all the risk. Yeah. And like those were the ones that definitely drove me to want to how to figure out how to get to the source, because being a middleman is rough.
Yep. So I did that I kind of started around 2020, 2021. And while it was just the peak, I mean, I started when we had every tailwind we could possibly imagine, with rates and stuff. But the problem that time, a lot of people remember, is how competitive it was. I mean, if you could get a deal, you could sell it, but it was so hard to find deals because people were just paying over, whatever they could come up with, they would pay it.
Right.
So,
If it was a decent deal and it was known, yeah, people were bidding those up. I think one of like my favorite deals of that time period was like I beat out like 19 people on a property, but like I knew it, was sure of it, and understood it, but like all of them were just very competitive, and yeah, definitely tougher with that going on.
100%.
Yeah, so you got started in real estate, and how'd you go from 0 to 110 deals in 3 years?
Yeah, so through 2021 and 2022, I was building out my team. I was trying to figure it out. I cut my teeth. I didn't get a mentor. I was just, my ego was a little too big, I guess, or I just, didn't want to I asked people for help. I didn't want to pay for it, which is an interesting, you're going to pay for it eventually, whether it's in your lost opportunities or your mistakes. And so I'm sure I paid for those mistakes. And as I was figuring out how to find deals, build a company, and do that. So, through 2021, 2022, and even into the beginning of 23, we didn't do too many deals. We were kind of breaking even. We would get a deal, and that would just kind of pay for the marketing that we had been, accruing over the last 3 months. And so I had a handful of deals up on the wall. I have a wall of fame in my office of all of our deals, and now there's over 100 on the wall, and we filled up the whole wall. And so I'm like, when I look back in the photos, and there's like 10 up on the wall, and then I was like, hey, one day we'll fill this, and not like 18 months later, the wall is completely full. And so
that's so cool.
Yeah. And so I just essentially just, cut my teeth on figuring out how to, run an acquisitions company, run a wholesale company. And it really came down to personnel. And so I think a lot of people, at least when we get started, I'm sure you've hired people as well. When you first start, you're just happy that anybody wants to work for you. You're like, oh my God, like an employee wants to like take their life and upend it and actually work for me. I was just elated that people would join me in my journey. And so you take on anybody that said they would do it. I'd be like, yep, come on, let's do it. And I quickly learned that you have to hire right. You have to have like A players. And so I kind of cycled out of the first couple people that I hired, and I completely reset and just have some amazing people now after they've seen me turn the vision into reality. It's hard when you only have 5-10 deals under your belt. When you have over 100 and you have a brand, all of these things, people want to work for you, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what kind of deals was it that you started with? Was it flips, wholesaling, buy and hold? And then any of those early wins or losses, shape how you approach the deal structuring now?
Yeah, so we were mainly doing wholesale and single family is kind of the look at the data. That's what most of our stuff is. But we've the way that I structure my business is instead of being the wholesaler that cherry picks all their best deals, I try to wholesale everything. I'm really good at finding a buyer. So I usually, when you were saying, hey, like the wholesaler made 20 and then I only made 35 as the flipper, like I actually make more than my flippers. Like I'll probably make 40 and they might make 20.
I wasn't want to be critical of your kind.
Yeah.
But so, there you go.
I use them. Yeah, I play them off of themselves. And so I have my funnel, which is all of my marketing, all my deal flow, all of my acquisitions people, and I try to sell those to people, and I use that money to invest in a lot of my flips, and I buy the flips that people send me. So I kind of have two funnels, and so I can double what I'm doing instead of just cherry picking all the good deals and wholesaling off the crap. I try to wholesale off good deals that come in through my marketing, and then I buy deals that other people send me. So I'm doing twice as much. And so that's kind of my strategy is right now, currently catching up to 2025. We have 20, I looked at it this morning. We have 28 deals under contract. And then we have around 25 active projects, flips, like neighborhood, some of our land deals. So we have 25 active deals we're working that we own.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely a lot. And I like the two funnel approach. And I think that, like I think that gives a it should give a lot of your buyers a lot of confidence and like, you know, in terms of knowing that like that is your mentality, that you're not just, you know, cherry pick. Because I'll be honest, like some of my dealings with, you know, people around here who wholesale and flip, a lot of times, I mean, I'm not going to name any names, you know, my local people down here, but there's a few people I don't even open their emails because
Exactly.
I know if it was a good deal, they would have kept it. And
They would have kept it.
So it's like I've seen that enough to where it's just like, if they're not taking it and they're trying to wholesale it, I know there's already a problem with it. So, and I know I'll find the problem out the second I start working due diligence. So I might as well just, you know, skip it from the jump. But if I knew that someone was putting out all the deals and then it was just like, hey, if it gets too close to the contract time or you know, then I'll just go ahead and take it, then I mean that you know, I definitely like that mentality. It brings some like integrity to the business.
100%. And so like my buyers, they know if I'm sending them a deal, I'm like, here's the numbers. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that $100,000 rehab is $42,000. Like a lot of the wholesale. Oh yeah, you can rebuild a house for 40 grand. I was like, come on, you know, this is a fire damaged house.
Exactly. No, well, and you see it, and so see that's cool because it's like you probably underwrite it like, well, if I keep it, this is what it's going to be. This is what I'm going to do it for. But you know, hey, if someone else wants to take it and follow, yes, no, I definitely like that. Now, on some of your entrepreneurial stuff, you know, you're not just a real estate investor. You're also running Icon Window and Door, Icon Cabinetry, and then Southern Acres Land and Homes. Those, you know, sound like some nice intervertically integrated companies. Has the vertical integration helped stay efficient and profitable in all your development projects? And you know, why did you launch those companies?
Yeah, I think once you get to a certain scale, right now, you know, having 10 to 20, 25 active flips, you know, that there's an economies of scale with actually bringing a lot of the stuff in house, you know, so I'm bringing in a lot of the materials and having companies that aid the main goal of flipping and building and doing new construction is, you know, if I can have the window and door company and the cabinet company that are, you know, plugged in, it really helps because then you know your numbers and you can just get, a lot of people don't know is cabinets are marked up about 50 to 100%. So I'll pay $2,500 for a whole kitchen and I'd be charging $6,000 to somebody else, you know, or the other cabinet companies would be. And so once I brought that in house, it's like, oh, you know, like that helps. That's great. And so I had since
straight to the bottom line on your personal flips.
Yeah. And so I had since sold out of the window and door company, but I still, you know the owner very well, and they give me a good discount. And I'm still an owner of the cabinet company, but a lot of the stuff was just when I built my company around finding deals and helping everybody around me. And so, for instance, like Southern Acres Land and Homes, that's our land company. And so I had so many land deals that I was getting through my, you know, wholesale company is that one, I was getting rid of them. I didn't know what to do with them. And so at a local meetup, I'm networking with with my partner. His name's Cole. And he's like, dude, like we should look at some of those land deals. Here's how profitable they could be. And we just kind of plugged it right in, you know? So now I can take any lead that comes in and we can flip it. We can build an infill lot. We can create and design a neighborhood. It's just, I have any motivated seller that hits my desk, we can convert. You know, when somebody's motivated, we can find a way, we can find an exit strategy for them. And so I've since kind of just added as many strategies as I can.
Yeah, no, I definitely love that. And like I said, it definitely, Will, my business partner, he actually just became a outside sales agent for a big construction supply company. And, you know, we definitely plan on fully utilizing that, you know, kind of in the exact same way, just, you know, drastically dropping a lot of our costs on framing packages, windows and doors packages, trusses, you know, things that are generally expensive in a new build. So the $1 million deal. Let's talk about Southern Acres estate deal a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is the Instagram reel that caught our attention. Can you walk us through it from the start to where you are in it now? How'd you find the property, purchase strategy, and then how'd you realize there was potential for a subdivision?
100%. Yeah. So after I had networked and we had started our land company, me and Cole with Southern Acres Land and Homes, we had bought one project, last year, and then this was actually the second deal that we came across, and it turned out to be a home run. It was really it wasn't smooth or easy, but it was a fun project, and timeline wise, it's taken less than a year to fully complete a neighborhood. At least the horizontal part of it. We're not going vertical. We're selling the paper lots, and I'll go through the deal. But it was a pretty quick process. I've had flips that have lasted longer than this neighborhood took, which is
Which I mean, some people say, might think a year is a long time, but a year to clear $1 million. I mean,
add that in as one of the deals you do. Like that's
yeah. I'll take
year.
that. So let's start with, how'd you find the property?
Yeah. And so
and I guess while you were looking for it, what was your mentality or strategy like that led to you finding it?
Yeah, one of my main things, and I'm so glad, like kind of how we connected is through Instagram. That's so big for me is a personal branding. And so I spend a lot of money every month. I have a full-time videographer. I have editors on staff. I'm always creating content so that people see me and they know what I do. So I'm always telling people what I do. And so that lead came.
Hello. Oh, there's Will.
Yo, what's up? Sorry, I've been in the waiting room for like 10 minutes. So you got Cole, you got personal branding. I'm caught up. I'm ready.
Okay, cool. I was going to say, yeah, we're right. You just in time, right to the meat and potatoes, the good stuff.
Yeah, I've been in. So
okay, all right, cool. All right,
what's up? Sorry, I'm late, dude. Thanks for being on.
Love it.
I'm interested. Keep the personal branding rolling.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep it going. So what you're, like I said, you're finding it through Instagram, personal branding, finding the property.
Yeah. So this lead came in through a referral. The person had known me, but they were seeing my content. They saw me buy another piece of dirt. They saw me subdividing another piece of land, and so they called me and they said, "Hey, there's this 18-acre piece of land that one of my real estate agents in their brokerage is going to list here in a little bit. Do you guys want to look at it?" I'm like, "Of course, that's right up my alley. This is exactly what I'm trying to do." And so the guy made the connection, and I talked. This listing was this agent's first deal. So this, the listing got sent to me because of the brand, and he knew me, and I walked him through basically his first real estate deal as an agent. I had done 80 to 100 deals at that time, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, here's my offer. Here's what we're gonna do. Back and forth, and I was coaching him through, talking to his client, all that fun stuff in order to get the deal to the closing table. But when I saw it, it was only 10 minutes from my house, right off of I-26, which is like the lifeblood of that area, up and down, so it's in a phenomenal location, and it's 18 acres, kind of right in town, but just rural enough to where it still kind of feels like the country. It's positioned right in the path of growth.
Not to mention 10 minutes from your house. It's like God sent it to you.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sitting here and I'm going to my business partner. I'm saying, this is the deal. Like, I know this area. If you can get, all of the new neighborhoods in this area are 0.2 acres, 0.3 acres. If I can have a 2.5 acre lot or an acre lot or a large estate style lot in this area, that's going to sell. Like, there's a demand for that, because we have to go way farther out if you want something like that. Otherwise. And so I felt good about it. I convinced my partner. I was like, let's really dig in this deal. Let's figure it out. And so what we had done is, when we were looking at the survey and the plat and the deal, the seller was trying to sell off like just a house and a few acres. And they were like, well, I wanted just the highland and the best part of that land. So like, well, we'll subdivide it off and we'll take like this 5 acres. Well, they were a very motivated seller. They didn't have any money. Their car's broken down. All of the normal motivated seller crap that we deal with in this business. It got to the point where we were renting cars for the seller. Like, in order for us to buy this, we bought it for $650,000. So in order for us to buy this parcel, we were trying to do as much due diligence as we possibly could. This is our second land deal that we've done at scale, and we're thinking, like, we don't know everything. So we have to make sure we're good. And So I felt good enough at the 650 price with an existing house on the property in that location. I was like, no matter what, even if we just flip the house and sell it, we're going to make our money back, you know?
Right.
And so we had multiple exit strategies. Is the one of the main things I'm going to stress on this is, you know, you could go and buy raw land for, you know, at market price and then add value to it, build homes, and you can make money. But we looked at it as when it already has a home on it, I can flip this home, spend $50,000 renovating it, and resell the thing for, you know, 900 grand and walk away with $200,000 in profit if all goes to shit, you know. And there's just, so that was what made me feel confident about it. And so since there was already a home on the property, we were able to get hard money. We were able to get normal hard money, flipping money, instead of, you know, speculative land development type money.
I was going to say that home almost made it one of the best things that happened to you because for financing purposes. Because Will and I definitely know the challenges of, you know, trying to get financing without a home. You know, trying to do ground up is, you're definitely way more limited on lenders. So yeah, dude, I love that you had a home on there.
So that's one of the things we look at now is like, if I have some type of structure, whatever it is, I can go to my lender and say, hey, here's our multiple exit strategies. Our plan is to develop it, but at least you are collateralized with this home with insurance, like on the land. And so we had it appraised. It came back, you know, just under what we paid for it. So we had to bring like 40 grand to the closing table, which is, you know, all things considered, this is a $1 million project.
It's nothing. Yeah. No.
Well, and plus you guys saw the bigger vision of like what all the extra land was worth. So totally worth it. You know. So
to relationships and the power of relationships, that was a pretty, you know, it's an abnormal style deal for most hard money lenders, especially when you go and tell them what you're going to do. You know, if I go and tell them, hey, I'm going to subdivide this off and sell, we're creating a neighborhood, we're going to build a road, we're going to do all this shit, and they're like, well, we just lend on homes. And so I had like 5 loans out with this lender at the time. We had great relationships. I was giving him referrals. So I was providing so much value. We had a long track record. So when I came to him and I said, can you create a loan product for me? He did, you know? And so he's like, okay, well, we'll lend on this. And we normally wouldn't, but since you've done so well for us before, let's create a product. And so lent on it, we closed on it, and we went ahead immediately. I flipped the house. You know, that was my expertise. I know how to flip houses. My partner started with the survey and doing all the engineering and just doing all the stuff that would go into talking with the zoning department to figure out how small we can go on these lots. And we ended up busting in about 1,000 feet of road and just installing all the infrastructure. We had about 250,000 in basically infrastructure and everything that on in-site development to do all the horizontals. And so once that was done, you know, 650 plus 250, 678, you know, 900,000 to $1 million in the deal. And we divided that into 7 lots. And then we combined one of the lots, and now it's ending at 6 total lots, including the house lot that already has a home on it. And so we're selling each lot for $200,000. And so we have 5 lots at 200 grand, which equals that's $1 million. And then we have the house, you know, so we're going to sell the house, and that's already under contract. So that's
nice.
Basically, yeah, everything since we talked and since that reel, every property, every piece is under contract except for lot 1. And so we sold 2 of the lots today.
No way.
At ask price, you know, so we listed them at 200 and they sold. So it was kind of like my intuition was correct.
So just to kind of like sum it up for people, when did you guys originally close on the property? You can just give me the month if the date.
Shoot, I think it was probably last October.
Okay, so
not even a year ago.
Yeah. So basically, we're beginning of September, so about 10 months of the process, 10 maybe pushing 11 months. But yeah, that range, dude. I mean, that's nice to have everything done because I'm assuming the closing dates on these deals will pretty much all be before October.
Yeah.
So $1 million cleared in a 12-month period. I love it.
Can't beat it.
What was the biggest surprise or roadblocks you guys ran into while doing this?
Private roads. So that's the worst thing is we were off of that. We didn't have paved county road access. We had a private road that was basically just a dirt trail. And so we had to widen the road. We cleared a whole line of trees. We had to talk to all of the neighbors around there. And it was on a family road. So everybody that owned lots, including the lot we bought, was from the same family. And so we had to deal with personnel issues and emotions and a lot of stuff because you're selling off. They sold off grandpa's and grandma's land to us, and we came in as developers. And so to work with the family that used to own that property, that home, it's a very delicate situation. And so I sold it as, what can we do to make this good for you guys? Like we don't want to put 0.2 acre lots. We don't want to slam in 60 homes in your back door. What if we only did 6 homes on an 18 acres? Like these are you're not going to really feel the growth. It'll be manageable. There's not going to be much traffic on your road. And so what we did is we had the private road. We widened that for them. We added more gravel. We put ditches in and swales in, and really just improved. We built new mailboxes for the whole family. Like we just did as much as we could to help the family out so that they weren't getting in our slow rolling our project or trying to shut it down. And so we just we worked with them, gave them what they wanted, and they helped us out.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I was curious on that as well. We ran into a bit of issues when it came to private roads, and especially when they butted up with like county maintained roads. We got like with the Florida Department of Transportation, then you have to do the fire marshal, a fire truck turnaround. Then you got to get fire hydrant out there, and it was so much. Kind of walk through the listeners what that process looks like, kind of from A, B, C to getting the road there, and it's like you get to put up the road sign and the name and everything.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep it as straightforward as possible, not get too much into the weeds. But essentially, what we did, step one, we did our due diligence. Then we got a survey, we got a wetlands, and we got perk test. So we're doing all of those. Easy, not easy, but those are kind of the first couple things that any developer is going to do, and then verify zoning. And so once we verified all of those things, we found that there's a flood zone on the bottom half of the property. So that laid out how we had to do our lots. So our lots had to go vertical, and so we had the house at the top, and then the bottom in the flood zone would be the backyard. And so we had to place the septics. So there's no city sewer system, so we had to do septic. So we had to design all those out. And so once we got the survey, we come in, we divided it up based on all of our findings on all of those due diligence items, and we found that we had to cut in a road on the top of the property. And then once we do that, we, like you said, the fire truck turnaround, the emergency vehicle turnaround, our engineer had to put cul-de-sacs in that met all those requirements, and we just cut in the road and started laying gravel and getting started after we had an approved plat from the city. And so for the private roads in this jurisdiction, it's 15 homes or 15 parcels. It doesn't even have to be a home, but 15 parcels off of one private drive is the cap, like for like a by rights type deals, meaning like by rights, I can subdivide it in 15 times off of this road. And so we already had, I don't know, what is that? Eight homes, and then we added 7 more, and it equaled 15. And so we maxed out that road is what we did. And the crazy thing is you heard, I went from 7 lots down to 6 because this is kind of funny, but when we surveyed it, we didn't include the well on the house. And so the well was actually on one of the other lots after we finally did we actually measured it out, and we're like punching out the house flip, and we're like, oh crap, this well looks like it's on the other lot, on the other property. And instead of digging a new well, we're like, oh, we'll just move the property line 10 feet and resubmit. And so we resubmitted, and then they re-reviewed our entire subdivision. They're like, oh, actually, we're going to re-review the whole thing. And they recounted all the lots, and they came to 17 out of 15. We're like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, we have an approved subdivision. It's already recorded. You're going to undo it? They're like, Like,
yeah.
like
We
the neighborhood sign is in, the road is in, the gate, the automatic gate is in, the sign is in, we're done. And now you're going to re-review our neighborhood. And so we sat there and we talked with the county and we're like, you can't count this property. It's got, and so we talked them down and we got it from 17 down to 16. So now we were 16 out of 15 available. And so we're like, well, we'll just combine one of our lots. And so one of the lots was kind of like, had a larger flood zone than the rest of them. And so we just combined those two to give as much high ground as we possibly could. And instead of going from 7 to 6 total properties, little learning experience there.
Yeah, man. So that actually is funny because my next question was going to be, if you could go back and redo any part of it, what would it be? I think you got the answer there. Be careful what you ask for in the county because they might tell you more than you want to know.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing is making sure that and that's just going to come from experience. I could talk, for another 2 hours on some of the learning experiences with dealing with, the subdividing of properties and rezoning stuff and getting a neighborhoods approved. There's lots of things that we've cut our teeth on where it's like, the better we get at this, the quicker we're able to figure out what's going to, bite us in the ass or how we want to present it to the town the right way, because that's doing it wrong can really get you, because they can do whatever they want. They're the ones that are going to give you the building permit. So it's hard to, force them to do something.
But before we kind of move on to what's next in your guys' overall development pipeline, what's some advice you'd give to investors that are looking to make a similar play in land development on that deal like you did?
Large lots in areas that have utilities that have road frontage. Like if you can find those in good,
they're already developed.
They're out there. Like there's some old people that are sitting on family land. You zoom out on a map and you're looking down at a town. You'd be like, why is there 15 acres in the middle of this town? That's somebody's just sitting on a farm, and they're just waiting to die. Their family doesn't want it. They're just sitting here running it into the ground and it's all overgrown and they're out there. It's but those are so valuable, so if you can find something that has utilities and has road frontage and in a good location that has, good migration patterns and, good job growth, those lots are worth millions.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, I mean, case in point, your neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, that's great. So what's next for Southern Acres and your overall development pipeline? Are you guys looking to raise capital or what's the plan?
Yeah, so kind of big picture. I don't know if you guys know, but in South Carolina, wholesaling is actually illegal. So I
learned that from your story earlier today.
Yeah.
Wait, what? You're gonna have to.
Yeah. So wholesaling. As I was building my business, basically March of 24, they came out with a new law that essentially said, hey, you can't wholesale properties anymore. And so
but there's the gray area in that.
They did a very good job on writing this law. And so the law was written around marketing of properties. You can't market a property for sale that you don't own. And that's what wholesaling is you don't own a property. You just have a piece of paper and you're trying to sell that to other people. And so they got as granular as to say, like, you can't market the address. You can't just, there's no way you can market a deal or present a deal to a buyer without telling the person what the house is. Like people are like, oh, I'll just market the contract. Well, it's like, hey, the contract has the address on it. You can't, so you're marketing the house. It all came down to, you can't market a deal. And so how do you wholesale without marketing? It's kind of impossible.
Wow. So it's like they just cut the legs out from wholesalers over there.
And so one of the gray area, there's always a gray area, like you said, and the gray area is if somebody reaches out to me and they say, hey, do you have anything that I can buy? That's not marketing. So that was their loophole is if somebody calls me and says, hey, do you have any homes that you would sell? Is there anything? And I'm like, well, let me look through my deals. Yeah, I have this home. I'll sell it to you. That doesn't constitute marketing.
Got it. So you have 10 people that reach out to you every Friday to get a market update.
Yeah.
I'm picking up.
Well, and then that goes into why you promote yourself so much, because that way you're not promoting any deals. So it's just promoting you doing real estate stuff, and then people call you and you tell them the addresses. So yeah. I mean, I'm seeing the full circle now of why you invest so much in your Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy to go into. There's actually a kind of a unique strategy that the lawmakers came up with, and so they created a problem and then they sold the solution to the problem, which is so screwed up. Like they banned wholesaling,
government, yeah.
And then the lawmakers that banned wholesaling came out with a course on how to get around it, and so it's just so funny when you say.
When did this law pass?
I believe it was March of 24, so over a year ago. Yeah, and so
it's still pretty fresh though. So have you seen anyone?
I feel like there's a course that needs to be made still.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm curious, has anyone been prosecuted yet? Because that's actually
there. Yeah, and so we have a little group chat with all of the highest level investors in our area where we all collaborate a lot and help each other out. And so as we were going through this law, we got people that got cease and desists and got some fines, and so they were enforcing it. It's just everybody kind of stopped because we were scared. We were like, we don't want to be
no one who got fined decided to try to fight it and contest it and just see the legalities of it.
Nobody, because it's like, am I going to go ahead and spend how many? Like, am I going to fight the Real Estate Commission of South Carolina? They have more money than us. Real estate agents don't like wholesalers, and so 9 out of the 10 real estate commission members are real estate agents, and so they have
the whole real estate lobby against you guys.
They're very biased against us. So it's like it's path of least resistance. Let's find a way around it. Let's find a way that we can still do it without breaking the law. And so the method they came up with is called the installment method, which it's actually a very smart strategy. So I'll give you the 1,000-foot view, because I think this is, as new states, and I know a lot of states are coming down with regulations. So as states start to create legislation and laws around finding deals and assigning contracts, I think this is going to be something that can be used in other states as well. But essentially an installment contract is you close the close the property in installments. So the way that we do it is we have an installment contract, and we close on the property. We call it like the A closing, like within 14 days. So we pull full title, and we have to put an equitable deposit down, and that gives us partial ownership of the property. So we, with a installment contract, it's not owner finance. It just kind of looks like owner financing on the outside, but essentially we do this closing. It puts us both on title, and so now I'm a part owner. All I did was put $1,000 down. So it might be a $300,000 home, or even one of the deals that we're doing that's a land deal, a $950,000 land deal. We put $2,500 down, and now we're on title. So we're one of the owners of that property. So and if you're an owner,
that gets recorded and everything.
It gets recorded, yeah. So it's kind of like a contract for deed, So it's like an installment contract for deed. And so once I give my equitable deposit, I'm saying, hey, I'll pay you the rest of the amount in installments. And so the way we typically do it is we just do 2. We just do the initial closing, and then we do the final closing after we either flipped the home, sold the home, or developed a land deal. A $1 million land deal. We can.
So it's like earnest money. But you're on the deed.
You're a part owner.
It seems insane. It seems actually like it causes more chaos. Like if you have too
many, definitely potential to.
Like because you have to rely on me to be a good person, right? Because if I get on title and I'm a part owner, they can't sell the home, they can't refinance, they can't do anything without my consent. So I'm like, if I want to, if the deal doesn't go good, I can essentially say, hey, you have to foreclose on me.
That's exactly where my head was going, like, because as I told you at the beginning of the show, Hayden, I think the way you do your wholesaling business is definitely top tier. Yeah. I've met a number of wholesalers trying to sell me deals that I would be traumatized if they were on my title with me, because remember the one guy who tried to wholesale us the lot that they didn't even have it under contract properly. They were so shady.
Yeah, of course I remember that. That was so annoying.
Yeah, and so
it was like 2 weeks talking endless hours
to these brothers who never even Yeah, and we actually reached out to the owner. But anyway, that was one of a dozen stories we could probably get into about crappy wholesaler dealings. And so
there's a reason why laws are getting
but man, that law though does not help anybody. That law actually,
that's what I was saying. It causes more chaos, honestly. Like
because otherwise, like I know out of pretty much all the wholesaler agreements we deal with here in Florida, if it doesn't sell, pretty much people just walk away and move on and goes to the next guy in a couple months.
Yeah, there were a number, like kind of during COVID, people were making a good amount of money by doing pre-sale lots and subdivisions. Like large builders, you could get this part of the community isn't going to start until phase 2, but we're pre-selling this lot contract at phase 1 pricing. But it costs $5,000. And people were literally just taking $5,000. They had a contract and then assigning it whenever the neighborhood was built up and you had $40,000 worth of equity. And they were doing that over and over again. You bought 10. I remember there's this one investor, he bought 10 units in a townhome and didn't close on one of them. He put $50,000 down. And it was like a couple phases down the road. And each one of them appraised like $10,000 more than the first phase. So, he made $5,000 in every unit more than what he even had in the deal.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
The market's always changing. There's always a way to time it.
So do you plan on staying local or expanding out of state?
I want to be first. I want to get to being the undisputed biggest investor in South Carolina. Right now, I'm probably. I mean, you could probably ask people, but I'm one of the most well-known investors in Charleston. And then there's the other cities, Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville's beautiful.
Yeah, that's about it as far as big metro areas, and they're not even that big. South Carolina is pretty small. Right. And so you look at the Dallas Fort Worth, MSA, they have 3 to 4 million people. Well, we have less than 1 million people in Charleston, and it doesn't even compare in size. And so I want to get as big as I can, and kind of just get as much of the pie until my marketing dollars are just tapped out, until I hit diminishing returns. And so, I mean, there's plenty to go around. And the good thing about the wholesaling law is that weeded out all of the fly-by-night investors that had no business being in real estate anyways. So my deal flow went from, a couple deals to shooting fish in a barrel, where I'm just taking all the deals because I'm one of the only people left.
Right. I mean, it totally increased the barrier to entry because, I mean, it really scares off most people from even getting started. So the fact that you've got in deep enough now where you understand it, know the workaround, and then you have a reputation, now too, that I'm sure definitely helps. So.
Yeah. I mean, Charleston's awesome. So we'll definitely have to talk more on how we can get in that market, because you guys do have some pretty high property taxes and state income tax in comparison to Florida, but South Carolina's cool. It's a cool state. You guys have everything from the mountains to the beaches, which is cool.
The couple of cities that we do have are pretty sheltered from a lot of market changes. I know a lot of areas in Florida got hit pretty hard when the market softened. I'll say Charleston essentially kind of just flatlined, which was great when you compare it against the rest of the nation and a lot of other areas.
We're in a solid pocket here in Northwest Florida where we kind of really saw more of a flat line than really a decline. But yeah, so what's some advice that every new flipper or developer should understand when trying to subdivide or entitle land?
Just partner up with somebody that's done it before. The person with the deal has the power, so I would say just get really good at finding good deals and providing value to people around you, so we could sit there and, have analysis paralysis on here's every step of how you subdivide off lots or you do these land deals. It really comes down to going and finding good deals and talking to your local builders and developers and learning from them. I mean, they've got years, some of them have decades of experience. just go in and get that shit for free. You know, like say, hey, I'll get this amazing deal if you just bring me along for the ride. I mean, that's what I would do. And that's what I did. Is the first couple land deals, we did a whole neighborhood that all I did was find the deal. You know, I made like 50 grand, but the developer had a great deal, showed us along the way everything involved, and it was a phenomenal strategy. So I would just get good at finding deals, and that just goes to tracking, you know, your numbers. It's like, if I want to get one infill lot per month, well, then build numbers around how to get one infill lot per month. You know, take the whole city, the neighborhoods you want to be in, and then track some numbers and build out some KPIs on that, and you'll find a deal. But a lot of people just sit on the sidelines. Like, get off the sidelines and start talking to people. Just start talking to people, knock on doors, talk to the neighbor. Once you can find a deal, just connect with somebody that knows what to do with it, and then go from there.
Now, when you're saying find a deal and you're breaking where you want to be down, for some of the listeners, what does that take to get to the deal?
Yeah. You know? I guess I'll try to answer this. Like, one of the worst things I see at the event that I just went to, I was telling Sam about it, this event last week in Gulf Shores, Alabama. There was a lot of people they just say yes to everything, you know? And so they're like, oh, like this area. Like, no, like, you want to be in a good area, and you just want to like circle a map maybe of like where, you know, your new construction builders will buy, and then just be the guy that goes and finds deals in that area. And so you'll just do normal deal acquisition stuff where you can pull a list, you can search it just by driving for dollars. However you can find a list of these properties that you want. Just get hyper focused on something, because there's so much to learn, and there's so many like nuances per neighborhood and per town and
county, per HOA, per city,
city, county,
yeah. It's taken me years to kind of understand just the Charleston area. Like, I couldn't imagine going into multiple states, right? And so like I'm getting very good at most of the whole Charleston area, but I'm still leveraging the best people in my market to tell me, hey, about these specific neighborhoods. So if I'm wholesaling an infill lot, I just assigned one last Thursday.
No, you didn't.
You're allowed to sell. You're allowed to wholesale land, because we're protecting the client. So there's no house.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Still wholesale land.
Yeah. Another great area.
Nuances. There's some nuances.
I like it. Okay, cool.
Really get really deep in a specific area, and then just learn the little tricks that you need to learn. You know, like certain neighborhoods, there's like certain, like you said, HOAs, and just get those ones, you know.
No, I totally agree. Will's really kind of helped me get super focused, you know, in on Escambia County and everything, because, you know, prior to, you know, him and I getting together, you know, I was kind of just, hey, if there's a deal over the whole Panhandle, you know, wherever, you know, I'll look. But when we started doing the new construction, I mean, and that's where, like I said, I've learned a whole lot just from working with Will on, you know, just understanding, you know, how much road frontage is needed, you know, per the zoning requirements for this county, or when it's in the city, you know, because once you go to just one county over, everything goes different all of a sudden, you know, and it's
or one street over if you go from the county to the city.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. And so I know for me as someone new to, you know, ground up development, I mean, I definitely think hyper focus on where you want to be building and where you have your team located is very important. So that's helped me.
Yeah. So when you're doing that, what are you doing to find your lots, and then what are you doing to find those builders, you know?
Yeah, and it'll be a little bit of just telling everybody what I do, is saying, hey, I'm buying infill lots, I'm looking to buy infill lots in these areas. Okay, so putting that out, and so
you're focusing just on infill outside of all your development. You want it easy, cut and dry. Let's do this.
Using that as an example because it's easy to turn those. Those are deals you can turn in 30 days. I can sell an infill lot in 2 weeks compared to a 10-acre piece. Like nobody's just going to go come and pay cash for a 10-acre parcel as a developer, because they got to do many
diligence, 60 days generally, at least in Florida.
At least, you know, and a lot lot of these developments take 12 to 18 months if you're doing a big one. You know, if you're doing one that's
just yours, we timeline it. It's a good size, but nothing crazy. and it was a 12-month deal, you know, to cut that. So
yeah.
Well,
So I'm just, you know, so I'm looking for referrals, but we're also doing a lot of paid inbound marketing. So and we're just telling people, hey, do you have any, you know, lots, or do you have any land you'd like to sell? And a lot of times people that are selling some of these houses might have a parcel or know a parcel that's out there. And then we're, you know, telling real estate agents. That's where a big piece of a lot of these lots come from, is because a lot of agents don't know what to do with land. And so there's very few like land focused agents. And so if you can be telling all of the other random agents, hey, I buy land, this is what I'm looking for, you'll get a good deals, because they're not going to list them. What do they don't want to list a piece of land $80,000 and make $2,500, you know, like
if that, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like sometimes it's a $30,000 lot that's nothing. They make $400.
Yeah, so they're not going to do it. So they just throw it away, and so they'll just give it to me. I'll give them a premium on it. You know, we'll find a way to make them money, and they're happy. They don't got to deal with it, and I just come in and buy it cash.
I love that.
How many are you building, or you're just focusing on selling?
Yeah, so we have on the neighborhood that we spoke about, that deal. We're not going vertical on any of those. We're selling those as just paper. Right. So that's my favorite part, is I can make multiple six figures just by selling paper. I don't have to actually build the home, which is so much more capital intensive. You know, you think about, we needed $950,000 to do this. If I were to go fully vertical, it would take me, you know, $2 to $3 million. And so
right.
I mean, quality homes probably spend another $400K per build or something, you know, $300-400K build, you know. So
So I think we're probably have 5 new construction right now.
Nice. Awesome. And those are all around Charleston?
All around, yeah. There's 3 counties in Charleston. There's Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester County when you look at the map. And so that's essentially like my backyard. Is I'll do any deals in those areas.
Gotcha. Yeah, because like North Charleston's booming right now. That's where all the big track home guys are at and everything. Exactly. Yeah, because I was kind of studying that market just a little bit, kind of from Hilton Head up really past in North Charleston and then over. And I was just because one, it's cool. Charleston kind of reminds me of Pensacola. There's like a lot of similarities. Obviously, it's bigger, and you guys have a huge culinary scene and things like that, and you've got a lot of history, but kind of the way it was mapped out and laid out, you know, the city can only expand a certain way, right? Like Pensacola can only go south until it turns into the bay. You guys can only go east until it turns into the ocean, right? So it's like, yeah. So there are a couple things, and to your point, and what Sam had mentioned earlier, I was looking at a whole bunch of different markets, but when you get good at like one market, people are sending me deals all the time now. And we say on the show anytime, if you have any questions with land deals, like send them our way. I mean, we might get 20 a week, but most of them are terrible. You know? And I'm like, dude, stay away. You know, there's a reason it's been sitting. It doesn't have enough road frontage. So the county's not even going to allow you to do anything with it. Yeah. Or it's not a historical lot, and it was chopped up, and it wasn't chopped up enough for what now the DEP is requiring to even get a septic tank. Like, it's too small, so like you can't get a permit if you can't get a septic permit to then turn with your permit pack. You know, so there's like so many different little intricacies and things like that. So I fully agree with you. It's like hard to infiltrate a new market when you're really getting the grasp of your market, and so when you have one, it's like that knowledge is so valuable.
It's easy for me to it's easy for me to wholesale and you know, kind of remotely and virtually and even out of state. But as far as doing, you know, new construction or neighborhoods, those require a lot deeper knowledge of the area. And that's why you'll see, I mean, there's contractors that build $2 million homes, $3 million homes here, and they only build in one neighborhood. So, you know, so you'll drive through some of these historic neighborhoods and see 10 signs from this one person, you know. So you think about all the deals that are going on, they have 10 new builds that are selling for $5 million each in this one area. Like, those are the people that are going to get all those deals because their people are in there, they're contractors, they're agents. And so when the neighbor wants to sell their home, they're not going to sell to me because I called them one time. They're going to sell to the builder that has their sign on every single street that's built,
right.
you know. And
no,
so
I remember seeing that with a particular builder in my area in Destin in the Niceville area that he kind of blew up, and then his name became like synonymous with like a like a branding as far as like a quality country style home. Randy Wise is who I was thinking about. Will, I know you know.
I was already thinking that's who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he has a distinct look on his builds, and and he's known for quality. So it's kind of like if you're getting a
brand and you're known for it,
right.
you just continue to. It's a funnel.
Well, man, this has been a lot of fun. So before we kind of close out and get kind of going over to your personal mission a little bit, you built multiple businesses in a short time. What drives you now? Is it, legacy, freedom, or impact?
It's time. I think the currency is time. Is how do I be as efficient with my time as I can? And I want to take every business I've built, everything that I have going on, and figure out who can I put in certain spots. How can I make it to where, right now I only work 4 days a week. I take Friday off and I stay home with my son and, my wife. And so we have a family day on Friday. And so, I have 3-day weekends every week because I'm looking at who's the best people that I can put in these organizations that can do the job better than me. A lot of people will say, I know Brandon Turner talked about it in Bigger Pockets when he had a kid, it forced him to scale. It forced him to hire 3 more people so that he could get himself out of those roles. And so that's kind of what I'm in I need to be the firefighter putting out the most important and like highest level problems in my businesses, and then making sure the people are doing what they need to do, because I can step back and then I can do stuff like this. I can go to my networking meetings, I can go raise money. And those are the best things that's my highest and best use. And so
totally.
my personal kind of like mission now is to always be in my highest and best use of my time so that I can make everybody more money around me.
Man, that is great. What roles has discipline and mindset, especially from your Navy days, still playing your day-to-day decisions?
I think especially right now, we're seeing so many people just glorifying what we do. It's all over. Like I just looked through somebody's Instagram and it's just all of these like guru style wins. It's like, let's talk about the losses. Let's talk about how hard this is. This isn't easy. Anybody that's sticking it out right now in 2025 is the best people. The people that are in business right now are good. And it's sitting there when, you have 10 people on staff, you got 20 flips. And this is kind of where I'm at. I got 20 flips, all these people on staff, all this stuff going on, these neighborhoods that are going. And then you look at your bank account, you got $5,000 in your bank account and payrolls due, like that's hard. And so that's the reality of where I think a lot of people don't see, and they just don't, they think it's all sunshine and rainbows, but like the hard stuff that I went through in the military and, my growing up led me to be like, I can take on any of those problems, any of these things, where the loan is due in a week and we got to find $200,000 or whatever it is we'll figure it out.
No, that's good, man. Yeah. Cause that's something I've really enjoyed about having this podcast is how open a lot of people have been, and mostly talking about, we used to always ask a question like, what's your best deal? What's your worst deal? Just to kind of like break that ice. And then from a lot of people will be open, like, hey, this is not easy. We had to do this. And we took 7 months and we broke even.
Yeah.
How many jobs are you going to work where you are working 80 hours a week and you don't, at the end of it, you're not making any money?
Yep.
Not very many people are going to say, sign me up.
I think the way that I look at that is kind of what's more risky. Like a lot of W-2 non-entrepreneurial style people, they take what we do as risk. They're like, oh, that's too risky. I could never, go out on my own. I could never start my own business. I could never take that type of risk. But when they're 55, 60 years old, they're relying on their boss and their company that they've been with in their retirement to provide for them for their next, 40 years of life. And for me, it's more risky to do that than it is to do what we do, do this crazy stuff that we do, flip these homes and go all in $1 million on a speculative deal. Like that it's more risky to just work for somebody for the rest of your life and never take that chance.
No, dude, I love it. I'm definitely going to come visit you in Charleston. I gotta come check it out. And then, man, you were so close. You said you were in Gulf Shores, right?
I know, that's so funny.
You're like an hour away.
I told him it's like, it's probably 25, 30 minutes from the house.
I flew into Pensacola last week. I flew into Pensacola.
Oh, you flew in. Okay, so
dude, you're 10 minutes from me. I live like 10 minutes from the airport.
That's so funny.
That's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. So
we need to get in on the planning of the next mastermind down if you want something in Florida or Gulf Shores area. We'd love to help you plan one.
It's beautiful. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, dude. No, we got a couple things going right now, and we'll get more in the pipeline coming. So I'll have to come check out your builds. You'll have to come check out our stuff too. And yeah, we're definitely going to get, Sam's the king of the personal branding for us. I'm usually in the back seat. So
it's valuable.
I'm the face. He's the brains.
Y'all are both handsome men, so it'll be just fine. Right. Y'all can both be the face.
Thanks, dude. But I think this was the first thing I wrote down, and really starred a lot, because like I said, I was backstage, so luckily I was able to catch what you guys were saying, but really put a lot of stars by, you said, personal branding, creating enough content, which led you for that referral for $1 million deal. Like I starred this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we got to get some more content rolling.
I'm gonna be out there shooting another video tomorrow, Will. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well,
people, it's
tomorrow, so.
it's so important, because people want to see you win and they want to see you lose. And so if you're sharing your story, if you're every single day, that if you go back all the way to the beginning of my social media, you're going to see me with a camera just holding it in front of my face and walking through my shitty flips that I had no business doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was figuring it out. I jumped out of the plane and built my parachute on the way down, but I kept doing it. Every single day I post to my story multiple times a day and show people what I'm doing. And so you'll see who's following you. And then eventually that person is going to reach out to you and provide value. That, for instance, the story I tell is I had one insurance agent, and that insurance agent also had a financial advisory business. And so he's a financial advisor, does lots of investments. And so he kept seeing every policy I would submit to him through insurance. He's like, wow, this guy's got a lot going on. So he runs a financial advising business full time now. And he gave me his personal money. He's like, hey, I have some money that I'd like to invest. And so for me, that was very humbling. It's like, oh, wow. Somebody that's an investor full time wanted to give me their money, and so that I could give them a return on it, just because I'm showing everybody what I'm doing. He was following me on Facebook, and that's what it was.
That's awesome. And that's honestly one of the greatest compliments you can get is coming from that guy, because
my money.
all he does is advise other people what to do, and this is what he's doing with his. And I love that. Man, Hayden, where can listeners find you, watch your content, connect with you, ask you about mentorship? Where's the best place for people to reach you?
Yeah, Instagram and my Facebook, just Hayden Albert. You'll be able to find me. I paid for the blue check. So you'll find me, Hayden Albert. I have daily content right now. I'm posting 2 videos per day. I have, like I said, the videographer on my team. And so we're editing, and I'm spending thousands on putting out good stuff, so that hopefully I can provide value to enough people that they want to maybe give me a deal at one time. That's why I do it, is to connect with good people.
No, and I will say it is working, because, like I said, your sponsored Instagram posts got me to follow you. That got me to shoot you the message, linked us up to our phone call. Like I said, so that all worked. And again, guys, as someone who was consuming the content, it's great stuff. I was like, as I was watching, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I wanted to share it with my partner, Will, immediately.
Sam sent it to me. I was like, oh, this dude's
I was like, this guy's someone we got to have, and so, again, even if you didn't reply to my DM, which I'm so grateful you did, and anybody listening, hey, this guy does reply. Like I said, I was a DM. I don't have 1 million followers or anything. I'm just a little guy on Instagram. He replied to me. And, so like I said, it was really cool. And but I recommend everybody follow Hayden. Like I said, he's doing big things in South Carolina right now, definitely leading the way. the content's great. The videos are clear. And again, just today I was watching his stories, and that's when I first learned about how you can't wholesale in South Carolina.
Yeah, wild.
Again, I didn't know that prior to the story earlier today, and then it got more details as we're talking on today's show. But again, just things that, like I said, that someone who's been investing in real estate since 2018, that was, new stuff I learned just from following you.
So, awesome. I love it. It's a good testimonial. I love it.
No, we definitely appreciate it, and again, would love to have you on again. Anybody wanting to check us out, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Elite Real Estate Podcast on YouTube. We're definitely trying to build up those subscribers. If anybody has a new build going on in the Gulf Coast area, anywhere from Daphne, Alabama to almost all the way to Panama City Beach, you need to contact my partner Will. He's with Dufresne Hope Building Supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, you can shoot him a message. Go to the eliterealestatepodcast.com. We got our little info thing at the bottom where you can input a message to us. If you're interested in building materials, just shoot us a message there. If you have a land deal in the Escambia County area that you want to sell us, that's what the favorite thing we love to hear. Shoot us a message there. Or if you just want us to look at it, we'd love to put some eyes on it. Will has saved a lot of people a lot of time and a lot of money by just taking a 5-minute glance at their lot. He can pretty much glance at it in about 5 minutes, and he can kind of have some answers for you, give you some directions, and like I said, help
at least the baseline. There's a lot of things that go into it.
Right.
I don't want you having to spend hundreds of dollars for wetland studies and perk tests and all of these other things.
Pass the sniff test. Just do this.
Exactly. I mean, dude, how many deals? And I mean, Albert, I'm gonna ask you this too. How many deals have y'all seen where someone's brought it to you like, oh, this is buildable land, and then there's not even enough road frontage to build anything?
Literally yesterday, I'm sitting there. There's a real estate agent in my co-working space. He comes in. He's like, I'm listing this home. It's on 20 acres. It's beautiful land. And I pull it up while he's over my shoulder. And I'm like, oh, there's 15 acres of wetlands. There's only 5 usable acres. I was like, this is
how much you and my partner Will are sounding alike right now.
30 seconds. 30 seconds is what it took me to basically qualify that lead.
Yeah. No, that's an ongoing statement down here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I literally had one on, let's say Wednesday, on Monday. Someone's like, hey, I got this awesome deal. And I was like, oh, this is a good location. The whole thing is wetlands. The whole thing. There's literally, you can't even build on it. I mean, I guess you could pay like $30,000 more for EPA credits, but then it just like destroys the deal.
Yeah. No deal at that point,
Yeah. But dude, yeah, thanks so much for being on. This has been fun. We're gonna have to connect. I'm glad I got your number and you were able to hop on and give us a little bit of time. Shout out to Clean Eats. Check out Clean Eats if you guys are in Mobile, Pensacola, Shalimar, or Tallahassee. Make sure you grab and go meals ready to go. Pre-order your meals or eat in the cafe. Lots of good food. I know I'm about to get some dinner, some Clean Eats dinner too. We'll have to get some meals up your way. Bro.
I was just gonna tell Hayden, I'm gonna drop him a link. So if you want to get meals sent straight to your door for $7.99 a meal, save you all the time so you can be finding more land deals and eating healthy. I got you.
There we go.
Yeah. And in closing, do you have anything for us?
Let's connect. Let's just do an event. I'll have you guys come up and speak or something.
Yeah, dude. I always like this one is what's 1 to 3 books that you recommend for people listening that might be interested, or something that's kind of hit home to you. It could be a podcast or someone that you follow.
Real estate, business, or mindset.
I think the most important thing for somebody getting in, like I said about finding deals, I think finding deals and having deals is the most important, powerful position you can be in real estate. And so Wholesale Hotline. So if you go and you listen, so it's Wholesale Hotline with specifically Brent Daniels. I think Brent Daniels lays out how to be the best deal finder in this market, and he has the most relatable, realistic advice, and he doesn't sugarcoat it. I think if you listen to this Wholesale Hotline specifically, they're like hour and a half podcast that he does. I think they're every Tuesday. That's where the gold is at. That guy will show a new person the exact path on how to find deals and track it and just make a repeatable business.
And did you say Brett Daniels or Britt Daniels?
Brent Daniels.
Brent. Okay. Cool, man. I'm going to check that out. That's a recommendation we haven't got before.
There we go.
Dude, I'm on it. I'm literally I'm Googling it right now. Yeah.
And so when as somebody that's new, music is gone. You don't listen to music anymore. You'll only listen to podcasts in the car for the first year. Sorry. You have to get better. That's one of the things
you know what, it was wild, which I know I know you're married with a kid, and Will's has a baby on the way with his beautiful girlfriend. Me as a single guy, whenever I date, people ask me like, "What music do you listen to? What music do you listen to?" And I got to be like, I don't listen to it. Like, we can listen to whatever you want to listen to. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks.
We're a different breed. We got to be a little crazy. People can't handle us. We're different.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, man, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you for giving us your time. I'm definitely gonna circle back offline because I want to ask you a little bit about your lender, actually. So, but I'm gonna take that offline because I knew you created that loan product for you. I know Will and I would be intrigued to know a little bit about that. But anyway, man, this has been fun. Definitely want to connect again, and man, appreciate you joining us on the show.
Cheers, y'all. Appreciate it, Sam. Thanks, Will.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we'll see everyone next week on the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.